Jagmeet Singh really is the gift that keeps on giving, or the curse that we're stuck with. No matter how you look at it, he's not really going away anytime soon, because yesterday he appeared on CTV Power Play with Vashi for a one-on-one, and late last night on this channel I did post a video about that, and she asked him several times, point blank, Jagmeet Singh, why are you still here? Are you gonna resign? People are pressuring Justin Trudeau to resign. How do you feel about that? And Jagmeet went off on a tangent, and he basically didn't answer any single question. And I'll admit it, I got a little heated while watching that. Oftentimes, I watch these videos fresh for the first time while I'm recording, just so everything stays genuine. And I gotta say, I am so fed up, as are you, probably. I am so fed up with these political answers, these non-answers, asking a simple question and getting a whole essay, a 500-word essay about literal nothing. It's so angry. And I've told myself, and I did say it yesterday, if I ever catch Pierre Poilievre doing the same, that's it, man. It's coming for you, Pierre. It's over. If you ever do a video, or answer a question like that without actually giving an answer. Because look, I like Pierre, I like the Conservatives. I'm into this. I have a Conservative membership card. All right. I'm voting Pierre. If I had to vote right now, I'm voting Pierre. But boy, oh boy, am I ever angry with people that just can't answer a simple freaking question. And so we're blessed today with another video about Jagmeet doing the exact same thing. So Jagmeet Singh recently, of course, unless you've been living under a rock and you aren't aware, he cut up the deal with the Liberal government, with Justin Trudeau, which means absolutely nothing. Unless he calls an election, unless Justin Trudeau calls an election, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just fighting words. Now, in the heat of the moment for 24 hours, oh yeah, everyone was going crazy, including myself. Everybody was taking to social media going, it's the end of Jagmeet. Even the mainstream media was going, it's the end, we have an election coming. But until that actually comes, it doesn't really seem like anything has changed. And so as a method of providing collateral damage to this crazy amount of controversy and backlash that Jagmeet Singh is actually facing, he's going around doing this press tour. He's appeared on one-on-one with Vashi. He's been absolutely destroyed and humiliated by reporters. And now he's doing a one-on-one sit-down with CP24. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at today, as well as Vashi afterwards has a one-on-one with previous Conservative leader Andrew Scheer. I mean, question period hasn't even resumed in House of Canada. Notice what I'm doing. I'm not calling it House of Commons. We're calling it House of Canada from now on. Yes, I am guilty. I am trying to brainwash 41 plus million Canadians into changing the verbiage from House of Commons to House of Canada, because my YouTube channel and one of these plaques does say House of Canada. Guilty. You caught me. That season hasn't even started yet, and everything is hitting the fan. Shit has hit the fan. It's crazy. So buckle up, because we got quite a bit to go over with these one-on-ones. And welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Everybody, is probably one of the longest intros I've ever done. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And we have blown past 400,000 subscribers, and we are en route. We have 500,000 subscribers in our line of sight. So I would really appreciate it if we got there. I don't know, probably by the end of this year. Is a little ambitious, but hopefully before the next election. And once you are subscribed, I hope you consider turning post notifications on. It's that little bell icon that shows up so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. YouTube has this crazy radical thing, which I'm sure a lot of people are aware of, where they like to censor people. They don't like to send out notifications. So that just adds, another layer of insurance. And without further ado, let's get into this interview here.
Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is speaking to the media today, a day after ending his party supply confidence agreement with the Liberals. And right now, he joins us live in studio. Mr. Singh, welcome, and thank you for taking time to speak with us. Let's start with this, the obvious. Why pull out of this deal now? What was the breaking point? And, as they say, timing is everything.
Well, it's something we've been thinking about since the beginning. We always knew there would be a moment where we would break up, where we'd pull out of this agreement. We got a lot done. We got the dental care, pharmacare, really important laws around protecting workers, like the anti-scab legislation. So we got things done. And it became really clear to me that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals were too closely connected to corporate interest, too beholden to corporate interest to take on some of the big challenges of the day, the high price of groceries, the high price of rent that are being driven up by corporate greed. So we knew there's also a big fight of the Conservatives who are threatening to cut our healthcare and pensions. Given all that, we said, time to tear up the agreement, and we're ready for the election whenever it happens.
So yesterday, we spoke with former NDP leader Tom Mulcair, who says that he would have never entered into this supply and confidence deal in the first place. What regrets do you have, and do you think that you could have achieved the same gains with dental care and pharmacare without this?
When I think about this agreement, I think about two people, and it always comes back to my mind. I think of these two people. I think about Brianna and Susan, who insists I call her Sue. Brianna is a mom of 5 kids. Each of her 5 kids got to see a dentist for the first time in their life. I met them in Edmonton at a playground, and I can tell you her kids are happier and healthier because of this program. And Sue, she's a senior, fixed income, survived a cancer, lost her teeth. And I was in the dentist's office with her when she broke down in tears of joy when the dentist and the denturist said they're going to get her smile back. That's what I did this for. And they both need more, though. And it became clear to me that Justin Trudeau is not willing to do what's necessary to help lower the cost of their groceries or their rent. And so that's why we broke the agreement.
But do you think that you could have achieved that without the agreement?
I think that what we achieved required time, and it was something that required some time to make it happen. And now we've seen after 2 years, we got some stuff done. But now we've torn up this agreement with Justin Trudeau because we're ready for whenever election comes to put the choice to Canadians. Conservative cuts with Poilievre or hope with New Democrats.
Okay, and that is the next question because we are entering political uncertainty. How will Canadians benefit from this?
Well, we've said that we'll take any vote that comes on its own merit and decide what's in the best interest of Canadians. But we know that an election is in the horizon. It's going to come now or sooner. Whenever it comes, the choice will be between who can replace Justin Trudeau. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives want to cut your pensions, cut your health care. We want to build it up, make sure it's there for when you need it. They want to let corporations rip you off and make even more money off of you. We want to lower the cost of your rent and the cost of your groceries. That's the choice in the next election.
Okay, speaking of, your poll numbers, they haven't been that great.
See, that's something that people are like absolutely fed up with. If you're going to say that there could be an election now, could be soon, it could be later, why not just pull the trigger on something? Why flirt with these ideas? Why try to drag people on? It seems like Jagmeet Singh is really living up to this status that he's created for himself of being many things, but being an opportunistic, right? And I get it. Like, you're a politician, you got to wait for the right time to strike, but you're playing into this narrative like it's a movie that you're going to cut off the coalition, you're going to wait a few months and gather up the troops and then march on to war. And that just isn't the reality. He is literally the furthest behind in the polls. I think the Green Party has a better chance. Elizabeth May, Lizzie, Aunt May has a better chance of being elected as Prime Minister of Canada than Jagmeet Singh. Like, this guy is just nuts, man. He's lost his mind.
Political analysts, not me, are saying that you're handing the election to Pierre Poilievre. What's your response?
I would say this is a fight. There's no doubt about it. There's a big fight in front of us. And the fight is the vision for our country. And I put it in those strong words. And the vision of what we want to do for our future. Do we want to go to conservatives who we know are going to cut? They're going to cut and gut the things that people need. And they're not going to stop big corporations ripping you off. Or do we go towards building up the things we need, a strong pension, strong healthcare system, and stop these corporations that are ripping off people? That's a choice I'm ready to put to Canadians.
Along those lines, sometimes we have to do some things that we don't want to do in order to achieve goals. Are you open to forming an alliance with the Conservatives in order to achieve certain gains?
The challenge with the Conservatives is we have nothing in common. They want to tear down healthcare. They want to cut pensions. They want to let corporations rip people off. These are fundamentally things I oppose. So there's nothing I see that they want to do that is in line with us. They want to give their corporate buddies more power. We want to make sure people get lower grocery prices. It's just we're not in alignment on anything.
Okay,
What? Everybody wants cheaper grocery prices. Like, what is he even saying? It doesn't make any sense. I'm not even sure he can believe what he's actually saying himself. It's so ludicrous.
Just a couple of hours ago, you were speaking to the media. You said that.
And these reporters are bots. They have their script. They ask questions. They don't ask any follow-ups. They're not listening to the answers. And I get it. You have a job to ask a question so Canadians can understand, but oh my God, I'm just sick and tired of these softball questions with no follow-ups. Now, yes, yesterday evening, Vashi did do a one-on-one with Jagmeet. It was virtual, right? And that was good. That she did press quite a bit, but she kept pressing on certain things, on non-answers that Jagmeet was giving. And he said, this is my answer and this is how it's going to be. And she moved on, and that was it, instead of pushing a little bit more. And even if it was something rhetorical, like, wow, is that really your answer? Giving a typical non-answer, moving on, right? That would have been a really good thing to say, in my opinion. And it's completely nonpartisan. It's very warranted. Like, these people are messed in the head, man. These are not normal people. You go anywhere in life, you ask a question, chances are you're going to get an answer, except for politics.
Trudeau is too beholden to corporate interests. Can you please explain that, elaborate, if you will, and, also talk about the Conservatives and how basically they're going to be in the same boat?
Yeah, I think they both are very similar in that way. I would say for the Liberals example, Justin Trudeau's example, the food prices have gone up over the past 2 years and outpaced general inflation. And the response to that after 2 years was to say, oh, you should check out your grocery flyers for deals. It was pretty insulting. There's a whole press conference, and that was the response. And then they said, we're going to ask these CEOs nicely to stabilize prices. That didn't happen either. It became really clear that they're not willing to do what's necessary, put in place real measures to stop these guys from ripping us off. It also was made even more clear when they forced the workers in the railroads, the CN and CPKC, they forced binding arbitration. Instead of letting the workers be able to negotiate a fair deal on their own, they took the side of the big corporations against the workers. So more and more examples are coming clear where the Liberals are too beholden to these large, powerful interests to actually stand up for people who are feeling like their corporate landlord is jacking up their rent, or the corporate grocery store is jacking up the price of groceries.
Okay, so this is a two-part question.
No, he can't handle it. He can't handle a two-part question, even if they're yes or no's. Oh my goodness, prepare for something that's not even remotely close to answering two questions.
They are crucial, essential to a stable, a healthy economy. How do you plan to work with them, to, these big corporations, to strike a fair balance, something that's equitable for them as well as, Canadians? And then when it comes to saving money on groceries and rent, let's hear some concrete examples. And what do those savings actually amount to?
Sure. I would say right now the balance is skewed in favor of big corporations. They are able to get away with doing things like fixing the price of bread. And they made collectively $5 billion fixing the price of bread, the big bread producers and corporate grocery stores. And the biggest penalty, based on the rules as they were written, was $50 million for Canada Bread Company, which is nothing given the fact that they collectively made $5 billion. That's what I'm talking about the deck being stacked against people. And the Liberals did nothing to fix that. I had to force them to bring in a law to make it illegal to price gouge. And you would think that would already be illegal, but it wasn't. So that's an example. An example of what we could do is we propose putting in a price cap on food essentials. So we think about things like baby formula, bread, things that are essentials, put in a price cap to lower the price of those things immediately. France has done it, other countries have done it, and it would lower the price of everyone's groceries immediately. That's something the Liberals, with Justin Trudeau, and Pierre Poilievre, the Conservatives, voted against. Pierre Poilievre himself has too many ties. His campaign director, his deputy leader, the chair of caucus are all too closely affiliated with big corporations to ever stop them from ripping people off. I want the laws to be fair. If big corporations break the rules, there should be serious penalties. Right now, there aren't. They can break the rules, rip people off, and they've got no consequence.
Okay, final two questions.
Sure.
Sellout Singh. When you hear that before your last name, we know who calls you that, Pierre Poilievre. What are your thoughts? How does that make you feel?
I think it's just another, this is the petty politics of Poilievre, right? To try to make fun of someone's name or to kind of make these silly games. And he knows that he's lying. He knows that we forced Justin Trudeau to bring in dental care. And what he wants to distract from people is the fact that despite having had publicly paid for dental care for most of his adult life, he doesn't want your parents, your grandparents to get their teeth looked after. He wants to strip that away from them. That's what he's trying to distract from. He wants to cut not just their dental care, he wants to destroy our healthcare system. He's very open. He wants it to be a private healthcare program where people pay for access. So that's going to be fine if you got lots of money. But for
No, that's not what he wants to do and tear down the current healthcare system to then bring that up. Pierre Poilievre wants to add a two-tier healthcare system so that it would free up a lot of our public health, which is absolutely overcrowded, like insanely overcrowded. Me and my family don't even have family doctors. Like, it's so messed up. We've been on a wait list for almost 3 years now, and there's millions and millions of Canadians that don't have family doctors. Now, if you have extra money and you want to go and pay for treatment somewhere, that would free up the queue of the public health system, and it would add two separate lines, and you can pick which one. Now, if you can't afford the private health, then so be it. Then you're stuck, so to speak, with the public healthcare system. But that's just how it is. It would tremendously free up our healthcare and the wait lines, and I can't believe that Jagmeet Singh is against it. What people do instead is they take their business to Mexico, right? They need an operation instead of waiting years or a super long amount of months. They go and they get an operation down in Mexico because they can pay for it. They can get it done right away. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. Done. So instead of the money going to another country, why not have it here in our country?
For working class people, it's going to be pretty bad. So that's what he's distracting from, and he resorts to playing these silly games.
Last question. I want to leave this open for you to say something. You've had a lot of time to talk. You've said a lot of talking points. What's something that you have not put out there yet that you can share with us?
Well, I'm really looking forward to this next election because I know it's going to be a big fight, but I'm always ready for a big fight. Like, I've always in my life been against the odds. People have always told me, it can't be done, it's not possible, you can't become a leader, you can't get elected. And I've always proven the naysayers wrong because I really believe in what I'm doing. I'm fighting for people. I'm fighting to make sure people can afford their groceries. I've lived some of those struggles. When I was younger, I know what it was like to worry about putting food on the table when my kid brother came to live with me when I was 20 in university, working minimum wage jobs to take care of him and myself. I know what those struggles are like. And I get offended when I see big corporations ripping people off and liberals and conservatives letting them do it. I'm here to fight for people. That's where I've always been. I've been a fighter my whole life. I'm going to fight now.
Okay.
So he has an opportunity right now to fight for people. He can call an election and let people decide instead of continuously holding 41 plus million Canadians hostage to a no more coalition. There's still kind of a coalition situation. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit and take a look at Vashi doing a one-on-one with previous Conservative leader Andrew Scheer. Here we go.
Jagmeet Singh there today swinging at Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party about 22 hours after ripping up the agreement that's seen his party prop up the minority Liberal government in exchange for action on policy changes the NDP wanted, including dental care and some aspects of pharmacare. Singh is arguing the Prime Minister is, quote, weak and the Conservatives are, quote, mean. Here to respond is Conservative House Leader Andrew Scheer. Hi, Mr. Scheer. Good to see you as always. Thank you for making the time.
Thanks for having me on, Vashi.
Why is your party, Mr. Scheer, accusing the NDP of pulling a stunt by walking away from their deal with the Liberals? Isn't it possible they simply feel it's served its utility for them and so they're moving on?
Well, Jagmeet Singh has traded his nickname of Sellout Singh for Stuntman Singh because that's basically what he did yesterday. He's refusing to commit to actually voting non-confidence in Justin Trudeau. He had a lot of tough talk and some harsh language, very nasty tone when he's talking about Justin Trudeau. But then when he was asked a very simple question, are you going to vote non-confidence? Are you actually going to give Canadians that choice by triggering a carbon tax election? Then Jagmeet equivocated. He danced, he skated, he refused to say that. So that's really hard to conclude what's actually going to change this fall unless Jagmeet Singh actually says, you know what, enough's enough. Enough of the corruption, enough of the high inflation and high interest rates and misery inflicted on Canadians. But he didn't do that. So that's why we're calling yesterday's event a stunt, because he didn't actually commit to doing anything different.
But I asked him those questions as well, and I take your point that the answer is not necessarily clear, but what I did garner from it was, my impression is that he and his party are more worried about the prospect of your government forming your party, forming government than they are about the Liberals remaining in government. And the point that they put forward over and over again is that the consequences of your party forming government would be so dire that they have to kind of take it on a case-by-case basis moving forward. Doesn't that make sense?
Well, all that basically means is that Jagmeet Singh is going to keep Justin Trudeau in power. That is who is in charge of Canada today. That is who is responsible for the housing misery that Canadians are experiencing, for the crime and chaos that has transformed once safe communities into places where parents are afraid to let their children go and play. There are homeless encampments in cities and towns that never had a homelessness problem before. That's all a direct result of Justin Trudeau's policies, which, by the way, Jagmeet Singh not only supported, in many cases, he demanded. You know, Singh talks about mean policies. Well, let's look at what the carbon tax does to struggling Canadians. It's mean to quadruple a carbon tax. That's what Singh and Trudeau want to do. They've already been hiking it. It's going to go up this next year. It's going to go up the year after. That's their plan. So what Conservatives are saying is, let's let the people decide. Let's take the Singh-Trudeau quadruple the carbon tax plan and compare that to the Conservative plan to bring grocery prices down, offer relief to struggling Canadians by axing the tax, and let Canadians decide. What Jagmeet Singh is saying today is that he's okay with Liberal corruption. He's okay to keep Justin Trudeau in power so he can hand out billions and millions to his cronies in corporate Canada, that he can keep funneling cash to Liberal-friendly organizations, that Singh will continue to vote to cover up investigations into that corruption. He's saying he's okay with housing prices continuing to climb. He's okay with the plan to quadruple the carbon tax. So again, I go back to what is really going to be different this fall if Singh can't commit to actually giving that choice to Canadians.
I'm not sure that's exactly what he's saying. I think he's saying that he has concerns about all that stuff, but he's more worried about what the country would look like if your party forms government. And the basis of his argument, much like the Liberals, is they have accused your party of essentially being willing to take away programs that they have put in place, like dental care, like childcare, like the Canada Child Benefit, and a host of others. The reason they have made that accusation is because your party has not clarified what it would do. Isn't it reasonable of Canadians, when you are, as you have in the last few minutes, describing how terrible you view the country to be in a state of, isn't it reasonable of Canadians to ask of you how you're going to fix it?
Absolutely. And as we get closer to the next election, Canadians will have a comprehensive Conservative platform that will speak to making life more affordable and getting our country back on track, putting an end to the wacko policies that have legalized hard drug use in public places, that has devalued the value of workers' paychecks because of inflation and high interest rates, that are forcing more and more Canadians to sell their home because they can't afford to renew the mortgages in the homes they already own. That's what Canadians are living through. And all of that is a direct result of the Singh and Trudeau policy agenda. This didn't happen to Canada the way, El Nino brings in a different weather front or an early frost. The challenges that are facing Canadians today are a direct result of Justin Trudeau's policies, which Jagmeet Singh either demanded more of or actively cheered him on and voted for. So what Singh is saying is that he's going to keep Justin Trudeau in power. All the things he said yesterday about how this is a weak government, beholden to corporate Canada, full of corruption. He then basically said that by not voting non-confidence in this government, he's going to keep Justin Trudeau in power so Justin Trudeau can keep doing the things that caused the problem in the first place. What we're saying is, if Jagmeet Singh has the confidence in what he's saying, if he believes in his own policies, if he believes that quadrupling the carbon tax is what Canadians want, let's let the people decide. Let's stop talking about parliamentary procedure. Let's stop talking about when a non-confidence motion might be tabled or not. Let's go directly to the people, offer them the choice between hiking the carbon tax and axing the carbon tax, and let the people decide.
Respectfully, Mr. Scheer, he's looking at the same polls you and I are, which show that your party would form government. And the conclusion he's arrived at is, it might be better to support the Liberals and keep them in power than have your party be in power. And with all due respect, you didn't answer the question about the accusation that the Liberals and NDP have leveled at you, which is fair in many respects, that you would erase a lot of key programs that have been put on the table for Canadians, because you have also made a promise to bring the budget back into balance at some point, to eliminate a $40 billion deficit. You have not specifically outlined what you would do. I know you keep saying you're going to do that closer to a campaign, but if you want to go to an election tomorrow, don't Canadians deserve to know tonight?
Well, Canadians absolutely deserve to know a political party's platform before they vote, and that is what will happen. But, you know, the NDP do this all the time. Canadians are forced to cut back every time they put, a roast beef back on the grocery shelf, every time they skip a meal, every time they turn the thermostat down. Canadians are making cutbacks in their lives because of government-caused inflation and high interest rates. So more of the same from Singh and Trudeau will just cause more austerity for Canadian families, more cuts to Canadians' quality of life and standard of living. And we're seeing this in more and more data that's been coming.
I do kind of agree with Vashi in the sense that we would like to hear a little bit more about these policies on how to fix, you know, a lot of these Liberal mistakes and the NDP Liberal coalition mistakes. I agree with that. What we have seen on the flip side of the coin, what we have seen recently is Justin Trudeau is taking these conservative talking points and he's saying them, and the country's going, oh, wow, that's nice, such as a temporary foreign worker. Pierre Poilievre had talked about that before Justin Trudeau did. Justin Trudeau said, hey, look, here's what we're doing. He implements it. And bada bing, bada boom. Now, it's a step in the right direction, but he's also the one that has caused the issue in the first place. And there's other instances, and it's going to be a whole separate video for me to have list them, the ones that Justin Trudeau has copied from the Conservative Party. Now, it is for the better of the country, so I'm not going to sit here and go, how dare you copy them? But at the same time, how dare you copy them if the Liberals were to take literally every single policy that the Conservatives say they're going to do, right? Here's our election platform. Vote for us. There's still 13, 14 months before the next scheduled federal election. I mean, that could be enough to boost Justin Trudeau into a more advantageous position, which is obviously not what we want. A lot of people absolutely fed up with Justin Trudeau. There's no way that he's going to get my vote, and chances are he's not going to get your vote either. But if you take all the conservative talking points and literally everything they're going to do, and instead of Pierre saying it, it's Justin Trudeau saying it, that for some people might be enough. So I agree with the Conservatives holding their cards close to their chest, but also we want some solutions to these problems. And the best way to do that is, instead of blue balling 41 plus million people for waiting the next 13, 14 months for the next scheduled federal election, why don't we just call it now? Everyone puts all their cards on the table and let the people decide, because it is a democratic country after all.
Coming out this summer, we're falling further and further behind the United States. More and more Canadians saying they're going to have to move out of their homes because they can't afford their mortgage. And let's look at where Singh and Trudeau want to keep spending. We've identified lots of waste and mismanagement. The NDP and Liberals will always want you to believe some kind of doom and gloom if any kind of fiscal responsibility is applied to government. They're okay with Canadians cutting back as long as government gets bigger and more bloated. There's a $35 billion infrastructure bank that hasn't completed a single project. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been funneled to high-priced consultants like the McKinsey company. Sole source contracts going to Liberal-friendly corporations. Those are lots of low-hanging fruit.
But you know as well as I do, Mr.
We're going to eliminate that waste and corruption. That's how.
Yeah, pardon the interruption. You know as well as I do, you read the budget very closely. The big line items that impact the overall deficit are things like dental care at $4.4 billion, the Canada Child Benefit at $25 billion, child care at $8 billion. You cannot simply eliminate the deficit by getting rid of a $60 million ArriveCan app or all the hundreds of millions of dollars that are spent on consultants. That will eliminate one-time costs, sure. It will not eliminate those big line items. And it also doesn't answer the question that your opposition has put on the table for Canadians, which is this next election will be a choice between removing the programs they've come to rely on and keeping them.
Well, first and foremost, I don't just scoff at 60 million here or 100 million there. That all adds up. they're also not one-time costs.
Not to 40 billion.
Liberal corruption is liberal corruption is a yearly event. It is a recurring item in every budget we've ever looked through since Justin Trudeau took office. There have been hundreds of millions of dollars in waste and corruption. There's been billions of dollars in big programs that don't deliver any results. And you're talking about a couple of programs that I'll address specifically. The infrastructure bank costs $35 billion. That's not a small amount of money. It's completed 0 projects. That's an easy item that we can take off the books and put back into relief and getting back to balanced budgets. Many of these other Liberal programs as well, the school food program that leaves 92% of school children out, a pharma care program that is not providing coverage to most Canadians. Most Canadians are very happy with their hard-earned pharmacare plans that they've won at the negotiating table. So again, we see governments spending billions and billions of dollars. Trudeau is spending billions and billions of dollars, racking up those line items, borrowing money to pay for these programs that are keeping inflation high, keeping interest rates high, and aren't actually delivering results to Canadians. So, as I said, we're going to
Scheer,
be
the
very
interest rate
clear
has
with
just
Canadians
declined for a third successive time. Inflation is within the target range.
No, but you and I both know, Vashi, that inflation is still making prices go up. Prices are still going up. The inflation that
at a normal rate right now,
so much havoc on Canadians, are still being felt at the grocery store, at the hardware store, because those prices aren't coming down. They're just. This is the thing about inflation, is that as long as Justin Trudeau keeps making prices high with his massive amounts of spending and borrowing, Canadians aren't going to see those prices come down. It still means that their paychecks have been completely devalued. That's the devastating impact of 9 years of Justin Trudeau and sellout Singh being right there along with him to demand more government programs that have devalued workers' paychecks, meant massive price increases, and caused so much austerity and cutbacks on Canadians. Conservatives are going to offer a different approach. We're going to axe the carbon tax so prices can come down, get the government back on to fiscal responsibility, to put an end to the waste and mismanagement so that prices can stabilize, workers' paychecks go farther, and we have a country where Canadians can get ahead again.
Okay, and I take that point. I just have time for one really quick other question, and it's directly to the point you just made around essentially the Trudeau spending causing all of the economic ills that Canadians are facing. The parliamentary budget officer, whom you very frequently reference when you're talking about the carbon tax, stated very recently in his analysis that the current fiscal policy at the federal level is sustainable over the long term. He estimates that the federal government could permanently increase spending or reduce taxes by 1.5% of GDP while maintaining fiscal sustainability. Why is he okay to reference on one side, and he's right in analyzing the carbon tax, but your argument is totally counter to what he's making here? What expertise do you have that he doesn't?
Well, look at the word sustainable. All sustainable means is that the status quo will continue. So if you're satisfied with the status quo, if you're satisfied with workers' paychecks not being able to put food on the table, with homeowners having to sell their homes to downsize because they can't afford to renew, then go ahead and support Justin Trudeau. Sustainability for the government's operation is completely different.
It's not all Trudeau's fault.
No. Sustainability for the government is much, much different than sustainability for people. And what we're hearing from coast to coast, when our leader, Pierre Poilievre, meets with workers, when he meets with tradespeople, what he's hearing is that this government's economic approach is not sustainable for working families. And that's the difference. If Justin Trudeau wants to campaign on a government report or talking about how he can continue taxing and spending and it won't cause the government itself to go bankrupt, well, millions of Canadians are going bankrupt or moving out of their homes or skipping meals, then I welcome that debate in the next election. Because what we know is that Canadians are falling further and further behind. They're struggling. They're facing incredible hardship. And all Singh and Trudeau are offering is more of the same policies that caused the problems in the first place. Conservatives are offering relief and prices and interest rates to come down because of a responsible fiscal approach. Relief by removing the carbon tax, getting government out of the way of free enterprise to provide economic growth that makes companies compete more for workers' wages so that wages go up. And when they work hard for those wages, it can buy more than it can under Justin Trudeau. So more of the same with Singh and Trudeau, a fresh approach with tax relief, and price stability and lower interest rates with the conservative approach.
I look forward to all the details of how that will happen. Mr. Scheer, I appreciate your time.
There you go. Wow, that was very well explained by Andrew Scheer. And I'd like to pass a question off to you. How do you feel about this? You feel like Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau are cut from the same cloth? Personally, I feel like they are. I feel like the coalition just kind of solidified what everyone thinks, that they are pretty much the exact same thing. And whatever Justin Trudeau picks and the opposite side on pretty much the majority of things, where Pierre Poilievre stands, Jagmeet Singh has found himself in this weird position where he is almost forced to be that third point of a triangle, which is very, very weird because he did go hand in hand with Trudeau in that coalition. He's since broken it off. But again, it doesn't really mean anything until the next steps are, put forward, which is calling a vote of no confidence, triggering an election. But we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out. I mean, Jagmeet, to be fair, he has been flirting with us in the sense that, an election could come now, it could come soon, it could come later. I don't like it. I don't like surprises. I don't like the suspense. I don't like that approach. However, we might very much be surprised, but we're going to have to wait and see. As always, this is the end of the video, and I'd like to encourage you guys one last time to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.